We've had an issue with the car. It was the issue that we talked about in the last video. We need to get this thing addressed. I've replaced the distributor, I've replaced the coil, the wires, the spark plugs. I've adjusted on the carburetor, I've changed the jets. Pretty much everything. I really don't know where else to go with this, but everything has been replaced other than the carburetor itself. And I don't think that that's it, but something happens whenever this car sits for a few days. It typically wants to misfire pretty bad. So here's what my brain's telling me. Something is leaking down. Gravity has a hold of something, whether it be water, oil, or fuel, and it's pulling it down, and it's probably puddling on top of the piston. And then whenever you go to start the car up, it splashes whatever is going on the spark plug, and then it takes a few miles down the road before it'll ever clear off. So here's number 3. I think this may be the culprit. Let's see what we got here. Look at that. That plug is wet as hell. And guess what, guys? It's wet with gas. Do I have a lighter, torch? Where's my torch at? You can tell the way the flame reacts with it if you look real closely. They shouldn't be that wet. This car's been sitting for about 4 days and it's wet. All right, so we can go in with a wire brush, and all you want to do is just make sure that those little wire bristles get in between the electrode. I really need to cut these spark plugs back. I need to cut the strap back, but that's not causing the problem. So for right now, let's just go ahead and address what we got at hand, which is this. Something else that I noticed is, look at this fuel bowl right here. Look at that. I want to shake the car. See how it's barely, you can barely see it right below. Somehow this thing is leaking down a little bit. So what we're going to do is go ahead and swap the carburetors out, and then I'll get back to you guys and let you know if that fixed the problem. Let's just go drive it. Feels very responsive. It doesn't feel like it's missing at all, but remember, I did clean 2 plugs off. All right. Perfect. Look at that. Oh. See what it just did? I said it was perfect, and then it started acting crazy. What is that? Let me look at the air-fuel ratio, and let's see. I need to be data logging, I know, but I didn't think about it, so I'll do my best to look at it. Here's the problem. With only one wideband sensor in your exhaust, it could probably be the other side, the other bank, causing the issue. If your AFR looks good whenever it's doing crazy shit like that. See? Now it wants to break up whenever you go full throttle. I don't know. See, right now the car's lean. That's what's so weird to me. We got this fucking car. Guys, give me just maybe a minute to 2 minutes of your time, and just sit back and listen to me here. Your boy's stressed. I am embarrassed. I'm being very hard on myself because I feel like I should know these cars good enough to know how to fix this, but this has kicked my ass. I'm not going to lie to you. But at the same time, I know you can relate to it as well. Now, I could cut a lot of this footage out and I could act like it never happened, but I don't think that helps anybody. So what I'm going to do is leave a lot of this footage in. I'm not going to leave every little bit, but I'm going to leave a lot of this in, trials and tribulations, where I'm going through this and I'm trying different things, okay? I'll get so excited to think that I had fixed the car, and then that's not it. And I would try something else, and that's not it. And I'd sit there and talk myself into what the problem was. And I think all of us are guilty of doing that. I want you guys to step back away from the problem and really think about what the car is telling you, what that issue is telling you. I'm sitting here trying things that I'm just hopeful for. In reality, deep down, I felt like there was a deeper problem. And I still don't know for sure. Guys, keep your heads up. It's okay. We all go through shit, but it's perfectly fine. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Let me show you what I think I've found here. I'm out here with the Poop Coupe at the moment. I'm about to take this carburetor off and put it on the 65. And I want to show you something as a reference at least, okay? So this car has been sitting in the same spot now for, I don't know, 3 weeks or a month. Look at the fuel level. Perfect. Sitting exactly where it needs to. Now watch this. This car there again has not been started up or anything. Now watch when I press down on the accelerator pump here. Watch the squirter. Perfect. See that nice steady stream? Okay, let's go over here to this. Same thing. Nice steady stream. That's exactly what it should be doing. Now what I'm going to do is post some video that I shot earlier when I was talking to my dad on the phone and show you what the 65 was doing, which is not that. So I'm gonna let you watch that, and then I'll tell you what I think the problem is. I think the problem with this car is vapor lock. Not full-fledged vapor lock. When I shut the car off, it was halfway of the bowl. That means it's evaporated or something's happened to the fuel, right? If you pay attention, this car does not have a phenolic spacer or any type of spacer at all. So I'm wondering if we're not basically boiling the fuel. Now, I don't know if it'll do it again, but let's see. See how it's full of air? I don't want to keep doing that, but the front, let's try the front. The front, when you would press it, had no fuel to start with. It took forever for it to catch up. So let's watch here. It's cooled down now and it seems to be working better. But you guys saw the video from earlier where it was acting crazy. So here's what I think is happening. I think that the engine heat is obviously radiating straight up through the carburetor, causing the carburetor to get extremely hot and possibly near boiling temperatures. Now, I'm no scientist, no chemist, I'm not even a smart guy. But what I will say is this: when you start adding heat to any fluid, it starts to build pressure. You don't have to be boiling water to cause steam to come off, right? To create pressure. I don't know, guys. I may be wrong, but my brain is telling me that we're getting this fuel so hot that it's causing it to push through the orifices of the carburetor. So your idle circuit and all that stuff, I think it is pulling or pushing fuel up through it. Also, there was a lot of vapor coming out of the top of the vent tubes whenever I popped the hood earlier after I cut the car off. So let me zoom out a little bit. So we're gonna put the carburetor off the Poop Coupe on this car with the spacer. That's gonna work fine. The only issue is we can't run an air cleaner. So for right now, the car won't have an air cleaner on it, but that's fine. We'll address that at some point. Maybe go with some super low profile air cleaner or something. But for right now, we gotta get this issue sorted out on the car. Just for anybody wondering, the fuel pressure set at 5.5. When I switched the car off earlier, I noticed some fuel dripping or something going on in the bowl. I'll post a little short snippet of that as well. You can see the fuel doing something in here. So in other words, there was no pressure on the line when we switched the car off, because I checked the gauge, but still we had fuel moving around in the carburetor. Now you might think, okay, well, it's possible that the carburetor's picking up some, it's aerating the fuel, either from the tank or maybe the pump is aerating it. Somehow it's picking up air. I would be all for that, other than the fact that the bowls stay full like they're supposed to. When the car's running, the bowls are even. I don't see any aeration in the bowls per se. It looks like it's supposed to. Here's what we're looking at. If we put the carburetor off the Poop Coupe on this car and it fixes the problem, then there you go. I know this seems all over the place, because we go from it's a firing issue to, oh shit, now is it a fuel issue? Guys, this stuff's tricky. You're gonna chase your tail at times, and there again, I'm not the smartest. I don't claim to know everything, But when you see signs of a carburetor acting crazy like that and doing shit that it's not supposed to be doing, then you need to look into that first. So we're gonna address the carburetor first and see if that doesn't fix it. And if it doesn't, I'm perfectly okay with going through the wiring and everything else for the Terminator X and possibly even putting an MSD back on it if we need to. One thing that I do want to mention that could absolutely be a problem, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions yet, is the 12 volt switched power is coming from the bottom of the solenoid. I personally have never done that before, but I was struggling finding a 12 volt switch source. So I went there and the car's done fine. It started up, everything ran good. I do wonder sometimes if that's not causing some type of interference. I don't know. You guys let me know. I mean, do you think that's an issue? I have no clue. So when you switch the key on, this has power. Gotta love it. And here's our spacer. And good, that is a plastic spacer, so that's gonna definitely help. All right, so here's our other ATM carburetor. This thing's basically brand new too. It's just dusty and dirty. She'll clean up good. While I'm here though, let's look at the jet differences here. So here is everything to do with my carburetor, the gold one. Main jet is 74. So yeah, that's, you know what? So this is crazy. As you can see here, main jet is 74. So what's funny about that is with this being 74 and this one being 78, I always thought that the Grey Ghost was a little lean cruising around in the front barrels. So this may be the perfect fix for this car. So yeah, this carburetor may be even better. I'm not the carburetor, but you know what I mean, the jetting and all that stuff. Power valve wise, I can't remember what this one has in it, and I had to find the paperwork on it, but I think it's probably going to be like a 6.5, something along those lines. So it may or may not work good, but either way, the biggest thing here is we might as well just go ahead and swap carburetors out, add the phenolic spacer. So let's get to it, see if that fixes anything. Look right down in there. Do you guys see that puddle? There's a puddle right in between the intake and the head. So what we're going to do is roll up a piece of towel, paper, push it down in there, and let's see what this is. Is this oil or is this gas or a mixture of both? Now gas will cause any oil that's around on the surfaces to be pulled off and mixed with it. So let's see what it mainly is. I don't know. Let's see how easily it lights off. So there's a lot of gas in there, but there's also oil. You can tell there's going to be some oil in there as well. So that's kind of normal. If you've got gas washing down something, it's going to pick up any oil that's in there, and should, I mean, there's probably going to be some. There we go. That's definitely gas. Yeah. So I think at this point, it's safe to say the carburetor was probably leaking down due to whatever circumstances. But definitely there's something down in there that doesn't need to be there. Not that much. You're going to get a little bit of that anyway with a carburetor car, but I feel like that's a little much. Either way, we're going to see. I'm going to pop the other carburetor and spacer on this thing, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the difference in these two carburetors. I forgot that this is the race version. The one on the Poop Coupe is their race version, and this is the street version on the 65. So I want to show you the difference. They're essentially the exact same carburetor except for the base plate. So if you turn this around, you'll see that this has provisions here for vacuum ports. As you'll see with this carburetor, it has none of that. Not one vacuum port anywhere on it. So here's what we had to do. We had to take the spacer and drill it out right here so that we could put a vacuum port in, because with this running the Terminator X, you got to have some type of vacuum signal to go to the map sensor. Other than that though, they're basically identical carburetors. All right, we got everything back on, buttoned up. I'm gonna go ahead and prime the pump, make sure everything works. So she'll start.
let me jump in here because I know all of you are screaming at your screens right now saying, you dumbass, you should have put some plugs in it first. You're right, I should have. But typically I can clean them off and drive the car down the road. I don't even know what I was trying to accomplish with that test drive, but it worked out good because it aggravated me enough to do what's going to be done later on in this video. So yes, you're correct. Should have put plugs in it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the video.
That didn't work last night. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to film everything from here on out with this car because it seems like I'm just chasing my tail, which I am. So what we're going to do here is put the new fuel system in this car. I've got it right over there. I should have probably already done this to start with, and maybe that'll fix the problem. But before we do that, let me quickly give you a reason as to why I'm doing this and try to go down that path. So last night when we were driving the car, when we started it up, remember it had a fouled plug. It wasn't firing very good at all, actually. So you all heard the plug fouling out. That, I'm pretty sure, was caused by the carburetor leaking down. I know we talked about that in the video. So the carburetor leaked down, caused the plug to foul out. Drove the car, the plug was still fouled, it never cleared up. I went to go get gas in the car, and then after I let it idle for a few minutes, I got back in it, and this thing just would not run at all. It was super lean on the AFR gauge. I didn't show you guys that, but it was 16 to 18 on the AFR gauge, any throttle input that you would give it. That tells me we got a fuel delivery issue. So the only thing I can think of is it's gonna be this rubber line. It's getting real soft, guys. I don't know if you can see that, but I can squeeze that pretty easily and collapse it, okay? I'm not sure if the fuel tank is venting correctly. It could be drawing a suction on that, so that could be an issue as well. Regardless of all that, we got to do something. Let's go ahead, change this fuel system out on the car. It's not like it's a quick, easy job, but it's something that needs to be done. I've already paid for it, so let's go ahead and do it. If that doesn't fix the problem, then we're going to start tracing down some Terminator X issues, possibly put an MSD on it. And before we go any further, let me explain why I say that. What would be causing it to run lean like that? I don't believe that 2 carburetors in a row are causing all this problems. I think we've eliminated the carburetor issue. At this point, it's going to more than likely, we do have a fuel problem. We know we got that. The car's running too lean. I mean, could it be a carburetor issue? Yeah, but I doubt it very seriously. And regardless of that, guys, we got a brand new fuel system sitting here for the car. So let's go ahead and dive into this. All right, so here's our new fuel system. This is an Aeromotive kit, a drop-in kit for the 65 Mustang. And as you can see here, all your connections are ready to go. There's your sending unit connection, which just plugs right in. And then the power that we're using for the pump up here, we're just gonna extend it, run it back here. It's got a 340 pump in it, and I think this thing's good for 700-800 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower, NA or something like that with a carbureted setup. There again, remember a 340 pump is gonna make, or be able to make a lot more power carbureted because it doesn't have to supply the pressure. So I wanna remind you guys, if you're looking to do an AN system, look into the Evil stuff. You can get it on Amazon, and I've had extremely good luck with this, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. I wanna say this whole fuel system, minus the tank, well, the tank and everything cost me 1,300 bucks. You can't beat that. Got a nice little filter here that we're gonna run. Even come with a strap and a clamp. Some more connections that the pump actually comes with. Just more fittings and stuff like that. Something I want to show you guys that's going to be a little different, and here's what we're going to try, is this. Okay, this is a JEGS fuel log. Normally this would be what you would supply your fuel to, but I'm using it as a return. These are not regular Holley regulators. These are actually return style regulators. Now they're not meant for EFI per se. I think they're meant for possibly up to like 28 PSI or something along those lines. They'll regulate down. But I have seen people use these. So here's what I'm thinking. We're running 2 of them. So that's gonna double the return. Well, actually it's returning out of here. So that's gonna double the return flow back. So these regulators shouldn't have to handle as much. Also, if you pay attention, these things are boost reference. They come with, I think they're in here. Yeah, they come with the fitting for boost reference. So let's talk about this for a second. If these are capable of boost reference, let's say your base pressure is 6 PSI and you're running 12 pounds of boost. So that's 18 PSI right there that these things have to be capable of making. I really do believe that these will work. Anyway, that's what we're trying right here on these. We'll see. That cost me about maybe 70, 80 bucks for that setup. Just some more brackets. Look, guys, I'm not going to show you all the fittings, but we got all the fittings. I mapped it all out. Here's the one thing that I do want to show you, though, right here from Amazon. It's an Evil Energy kit. It comes with fittings. I'll put a link down below in the description for you guys. I think it's 89 bucks for this, and it comes with a buku of fittings. Would you just look at that? Look at the fittings that this kit comes with. And then you get 20 feet of Dash 8 supply line for 89 bucks with all those fittings. I'm not gonna bore you to death with all the ins and outs of this. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. At this point, we're just gonna go to a time lapse because I've got a ton of work to do, and I'm gonna listen to some music and copyright stuff and all that. If there's a problem or something that I think you guys need to know and I run across it, I'll come in, I'll video, we'll talk about it. But other than that, all we're doing is pulling the gas tank out of the car, running some new line, should be it. Got the old gas tank out. Something loose rolling around in there. All right, let's head over to this one. Oop, oop. So the only thing we should have to do is pick this thing up and drop it in there. Oh yeah, by the way, I just picked up a new knife today. Now I know most of you are knife guys. This is the CJRB Pyrite Light. This is the new one that they've just released not too long ago, and I love that blade. So if you guys are like me and you have to cut tape and things like that, you want a blade like this. This thing can really get in there and you can get very precise with this type of blade. So that's the Pyrite, which I love, but it's extremely heavy. This is the Pyrite Light. And if you see the difference in the way these two cut, you'd have to put them in hand to see, but this sheep's foot or whatever you want to call that blade, Warncliffe, I'm not sure. This is what you want. This is it, button lock, one-handed operation. I do have an affiliate link for this, so I mean, if you're interested, you can go ahead and purchase that. Any of my flashlights or things like that that I use, you're welcome to go ahead and purchase. It does help the channel out a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing in. Right on. Slide her on in. There it is. A screw that does not belong. All right, well, we're essentially done here. I could go ahead and put the filler neck and all that in, but for now, we'll just go ahead and get this thing up in the air and start taking everything out from the bottom. Oh yeah, almost forgot the cologne of the day. We're gonna do this every so often. From Alexandria, Kid in a Candy Store. They sent me a sample of this a while back when I ordered something else. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Sent me a sample of this. Absolutely love it. This is a one-off from them. This is something that they made. It's $40 a bottle, 30 milliliters. This has everything you would want in a cologne, in my opinion. I know it's gonna sound a little weird, but this thing has chocolate, rum, even has a little bit of a smoky vibe to it, a little bit of a creaminess. I think it's something you guys would really like. Check it out, y'all. You know, I love my cologne. I'm gonna pass it along. This gets me fired up. I'm ready to go now, baby. I think this is probably the one thing that discourages people from doing AEN lines. We got Joe Nate over here in the house, and he taught me a long time ago. We kind of did some stuff together, and I was like, man, I don't understand this AEN stuff. And basically, just draw it out. That was something that we talked about. You know, draw it all out, lay it out how you think it's going to go on a piece of paper, coming from your tank all the way up, think always remember your fuel filter and really just lay it out. If you need to redraw it 20 times, then you do that. And you're gonna realize where you need all your connections. Even with that being said, you're gonna miss how many connections you think you're going, at least 2 or 3 probably. More than likely, and I probably have missed some in this order as well. And there's some extra stuff in here we're not gonna use. This is what we've got for the 65. It's all Evil Engineering or Evil, whatever it is, from Amazon. I've had really good luck with it so far. And the good thing about this is it won't cut you to death when you're using it. It doesn't have as much stainless steel in it. It's got some, and it still will get you, but it's not that bad. If you don't have an air hose, like an air compressor, when you cut this line, we're gonna use a cutoff wheel. When you cut this line, you're gonna get debris down in here. They sell these on Amazon. I think they're like 30 or 40 bucks. This is just something I thought of earlier. This would be a good option for you guys to blow your line out if you need to. You turn this thing on and blow it out. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you where we are right now. We've got, that looks like shit right there. We've got our fuel line ran. I haven't kind of tidied everything up yet, but here's our Y block. Feeds into here. Everything's mounted up pretty good. We got to tighten up some stuff. That's going to be our dual regulators back there. There again, here's the feed line. I'll probably clean that up a little bit. And for right now, I'm trying this cap set up here to cap this nitrous side off, because as of right now we don't have nitrous on the car. I mean, I could in theory put a solenoid on it, but for right now I'm just going to try to cap it off. So basically it's ready to go at this point. All I got to do is wire up the pump in the back and put a filter on it, and it should in theory work. We do have to set fuel pressure, and I got to figure out the gauge situation and all that, because it's never fun putting these gauges in here. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and get the car up in the air and we'll tighten some stuff up. All that's left now is to find somewhere to put this pump, and probably somewhere right about here is going to be good. All right, y'all, we got it done underneath the car. Not much to look at here, but comes out here, goes across through the wheel well. Here's our filter right here. Everything is strapped multiple times, just so it doesn't sag over time. And we come up through here, and then right up here we go into the engine bay with just some vacuum line split in half, wrapped around the holes. So that's pretty much it for underneath the car. Go ahead and lower it down. It's basically, it's got power. We just need to fill it up. I need to put a gauge on one of the regulators for the carburetor so that I can at least kind of get that right. And for the nitrous regulator, we're basically just going to let it bypass as much as it can, so we'll probably just turn it down. I'm going to go ahead and knock that out, and we should be able to fire it up if we can get the fuel pressure regulated. Remember, we use different regulators. They're not meant for EFI to carbureted, but I'm thinking maybe we'll get lucky. Cross your fingers, guys. We're basically done now. I'm gonna do some tidying up and we'll see if this thing will start. All right, we're gonna put some fire to it, see if the pump works. Unhook this. Okay, that's weird. All right, let me get my test light. See if we got power down there. That damn thing does not send power. Like if you just put it on one random one, which is what I thought you could do, it won't send power all the way through it. It's not connected like that. Round 2. Let's see if it works now. Here we go. I hear it running. It's working its way up. It's going. Matter of fact, it got up to about 4 or 5, and it looked like it was going to kind of hang out there.
Right here.
Yep. We got to tighten it up. You guys would not believe, but right now, that son bitch is showing 4.5 psi. So, all right, switch it off. That's awesome. That gauge is acting a little weird, so there's that. And we need a new gauge, bad.
Yeah.
You had to thump it to get it to move. That is 6 psi right there. Is that not a little strange to you? That it's such low psi with that EFI pump? I mean, wouldn't you have thought it would have started at like 40 or something and we bring it down? You reckon it's just returning that much that it's just a perfect combination? I mean, whatever, it's working, but it is a little strange because, okay, this is a 340 pump in here, and that thing's gonna wanna make 40 something PSI, right? The gauge immediately showed like 4 PSI. We tightened it down a little bit, got right up to 6, good to go. My question is, how is it only making that? Is it returning that much fuel with the dual regulators, which is what we wanted? That was the idea, but I really would have thought we'd have started high at 30, 40 and then brought it down.
Test it by loosening up the other one, see if it starts going down, maybe.
Yeah.
Just to test it.
So far, so good. We only have one leak. Actually, before we go down there, switch it on one more time. Let me look at you.
Pump sound.
Oh, pump sound. Great. It's super quiet. Got a little leak right up here, which is that's not a good spot. Have a leak because everything's going to run out. All right, I'll get back to you guys once we fix it. All right, so we fixed the problem. The adapters, the O-ring adapters that go into the tank, they were just too long. It wouldn't, for whatever reason, it was bottoming out inside of the fuel hat. So we just shaved them down a little bit shorter, threaded them in, O-rings caught it, so we're good to go. Looks like we're sitting at about 5 or 6 PSI right now. The pump's on. That's pretty damn sweet, man. I think this is gonna work.
That's gotta be what it is. They were probably set pretty close and they're about 4 pounds different from each other.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be.
We're gonna go ahead, check everything over, and go drive the car real quick. All right, we're back, and look, guys, I'm an NGK kind of guy, but we're gonna go to Autolite. What the hell are they? 3924. So we're going 3924s. Autolite. They only had 7 of them in stock. We're just gonna go ahead and replace 7 of them. Leave number 1 since that's the easiest to get to, or either number 5. Clean up an NGK, put it back in there, guys. I don't know. It did try to start clearing up a little bit. So we're gonna pop some new plugs in it. It should run fine, at least for a little while, and then we'll go from there with it.
All right.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and drive the car, see if this fixes everything.
Something came loose or something. Fuel pump still on, is that like? Oh, never mind. That's something else.
Like something up front, no? Let's see.
You know, I could gift wrap this video up for you, about 10 minutes worth of it, cut out all the bad stuff. I know a lot of people do that, but that's not what this channel is. We're going to be honest and upfront with you. We're going to make mistakes. We've had a pretty good track record for the most part, but lately it has been horrible. We cannot get this 65 right. Here's what I think's going on. We had a bunch of issues. I think the fuel's getting extremely too hot. The carburetor had no spacer. You couldn't even lay your hand on the carburetor, so it was hot. So it was probably causing some issues. The fuel system itself, the pump was toward the front of the car. It's not supposed to be there. The system was deadheaded, which is a common practice with carbureted cars. The fuel line was getting very soft, and it possibly was collapsing. So all of these things needed to be addressed. I don't regret any of that process. The one thing that I should have done early on was go ahead and put a new set of plugs in this car once again, rather than continuing to drive it thinking that the plugs would clear off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In this one, they didn't. But it's fine because everything that we did, I think, needed to be addressed. All right, so let's get to the elephant in the room, though. Car was running great. You guys heard it. You saw it. What happened at the end of the video? Only thing I can think of is that new fuel pump is pulling more of a load, and the relay that it's on is just not enough. So we're going to address that. We're going to pull all the wiring out from under the hood that's associated with the Terminator X and rewire it. I just think that's going to be part of the problem. Also, that 12-volt switched power, I got to get away from that solenoid with that. I don't know if that's causing a problem or not, but we're going to get away from that. And that's going to be the focus starting tomorrow, actually. I'm going to get the car on the lift and start to clean up this wiring. Also, I need to upgrade the wire that's going back to the pump as well. Anyway, the car started up and ran fine. We got home. Actually, no. On the way home, the Terminator X did give us some trouble. The screen would just go completely blank for a split second, and the car would miss. So we have, obviously, some wiring issues somewhere. And it could have been something that we moved around while we were doing all of this stuff, because they had never done that before. Anyway, here's what I want to say. I think we fixed our problem. I think we fixed the fuel problem. We'll find out, though. We'll find out if this thing's still going to leak down. Maybe we do have a cylinder head issue. Maybe we got a valve guide that's dripping oil on a spark plug. These are the trials and tribulations you're going to go through when you got these older hot rods. Regardless of that, though, guys, stay with it. I got faith in you. I know you can do it. If my dumb ass can get out here and figure this stuff out, I say that. Why did I even say that? I've not figured this out yet, but I have figured many of them out before. But if I can do it, you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.